Hey everybody, Frank Garon here, and we have a very special edition today. We've got Jonesy here. We have the lovely and talented Hannah with us as well, and we're going to be going over the 9 fatal mistakes that most online marketers and, dare I say, entrepreneurs in general make. And the better part of that is that's the bad news, Jonesy. The good news is we're going to show you how you can avoid these same mistakes. And I've seen this over and over and over again in my 26 years. Well, August the 4th will be 27 years working full time online on the internet. So I've seen a lot in my time, Jonesy, not to sound like an old fogey or anything, but yeah, I mean, it all comes down to 9 or so different mistakes that people make, and that's what kind of determines their entire future.
So now, Frank, as one of my, not just a partner, but a mentor and a coach to myself, you are. When I first saw this list that you created a while back, I was like, wow, this is a personal attack against Jonesy from 2019 to 2022.
It was nothing personal, I can assure you. The reason the list was so easy to make was because it was all the stuff I made back in like 1996. So
Right, and which means that most entrepreneurs, unless they're prepared, are going to hit these pitfalls.
oh,
unless they
absolutely.
unless they they read this list, listen to this podcast, and are soon to drop free course and worksheet and workbook on the 9 pitfalls of downfalls that entrepreneurs make.
Well, I like fatal errors. It sounds more dramatic, but if you want to tone it down to downfalls, we can have a
The
meeting about that.
the blue screen of death.
Yes. In this case, it comes in the form of a PowerPoint authored by yours truly. So I'm just going to run through them real quick here, and then we're going to go into detail, right? And I'm not saying everybody makes all these mistakes or you have to make them all, but most people make a lot of these, I'm going to tell you. And mistake one, no formal business plan. Mistake two, lack of focus. Um, this one here, having a one-man show mentality, boy, that was one of my big ones. No basic discipline in copywriting, another big one. Failing to capture emails right away, like from the first day. Failure to build your list. Taking too long to make the first sale. And we're going to talk about why that's so important. Failure to nurture your intuition. In other words, listen to what you already know about life and following that. Failure to understand the pros and cons of AI, artificial intelligence. And this is very timely, Jonesy, because 3 years ago, 2 years ago, wouldn't even have been talking about this. But now all of a sudden it's AI, and AI some more. So I want to talk about that. And then also not paying for advice, which in the beginning I tried to do everything myself on the cheap, and it wound up costing me a lot more than if I just would have said to somebody, hey, can you help me? All right, so here we go, guys. Now, the first thing is maybe you're just puttering around on the internet and doing a little bit of research. That's fine. That's not what I'm talking about here. But when you decide to get serious on the internet, you're like, you know what? I want to try to make some money from this crazy thing. At that point, it is time to put together even a rudimentary business plan. Okay. It could be a yellow sheet of paper. It could be a post-it note in the beginning. It'll evolve, it'll change. But what I tell people is this: the danger is you're working from home, you have no accountability, no responsibility. Nobody's going to yell at, well, maybe your significant other or spouse, but nobody's going to yell at you if you miss a deadline. If you don't publish this week, the world doesn't end. The sheriff doesn't come out to lock you up or anything like that. Nothing really bad happens except the beginning of the death of your business. So what you have to do is you have to act as if you have to report to a board and shareholders. And what I always told people was this: I say, look, man, you're opening a new business. Go to 5 of your best friends and family makers, right? Family members, I should say, sorry. And say to them, look, I'm opening a new business. I need to treat it seriously. I need your help. Will you invest $5 or $10 into my business? I will give it back to you with interest in 12 months. But what I want from you most of all is for you to hold me accountable and to have me report into you once a week and let you know what I've done. Even if you don't understand what I'm doing, I just need to be reportable to you. Will you do that, my 5 friends? And then all of a sudden, Jonesy, what you're doing is that's not really playing around anymore. That's a business. You've got a board because these are the people you're reporting to, and you've got shareholders because say somebody lends you $5 now, you say I'm going to give you 10 back in 12 months. Now you have shareholders too. It's more symbolic than anything, but really you have to feel like you're a business before you are a real business. I mean, sure, I hang out my shingle and I say, oh, I'm a credit repair specialist and all that, whatever I want to be in life. But everybody's got to answer to somebody, and if you're not answering to somebody, and we all like to think we're good at holding ourselves accountable. Personally, I'm still pretty bad at that 26 and a half years into it. That's why I like working with people, because when I have a partner, I show up. When I have somebody to report to, things get done. And keep in mind, businesses earn money, hobbies don't. Okay. They can turn your hobby into a business, and that's great. But businesses earn money. And if you don't treat it like a business, babe, don't expect the money. That's all I can tell you. The other thing I want to, oh, sure, go ahead, Jonesy.
No, so you said that it could be as simple as writing on a yellow legal pad, and that's absolutely true. I still always try to use even back in my earlier days, a template of a business plan, and even fill it out in its most rudimentary state, and treat it as a living document, right? Because it is going to evolve over time as your business grows, as the vision becomes more clear, and as the goals become objective and concrete and reachable. And to that end, you can just file, save as, create a new revision as your business grows. And if that business plan has a particular audience as well, for a loan, for example, for investors, for potential partners, for vendor acquisitions, any reason you would actually need a written formal business plan, that first one that you created becomes that starting point.
Absolutely. And the thing is, if you plan it, it will come. It'll happen. Like if you plan to succeed, and if you plan to be a business that earns money, and if you plan to be professional, all those things start day one. You know what I mean? And it's certainly going to treat you better if you start day one. So we talked about developing a business plan. A second thing is,
wait, no, Frank, I wanted to say something on that.
oh my God, Hannah, how sorry I am for not acknowledging that you wanted to do that. Can you please forgive me, my dear lady? I can't see you. I can only hear you.
I know. Well, that's a good thing because I'm not in a great place for video, so that's fine. So one, I want to say that I have personally, I never wanted to own a business. I was never someone that thought that was a good idea because I know that the stress and, the need for accountability and being, the last kind of line of defense in a business is difficult. I've always seen being a business owner as something that's stressful. And what happened for me was that I essentially found that I was really good at a couple of things for different businesses. And I also knew that my interest needs to be in more than one place for me to continue to do a good job. And so kind of going over, all right, well, what does Hannah need to be successful? It just ended up being that I needed to work for kind of multiple people. And so my external accountability structure is that instead of having one boss, which I don't want to have, I'm accountable to multiple different businesses. And that isn't exactly the same idea as a board that you had. But do you think that that external accountability is a good facsimile for the family structure that you were talking about?
Oh, absolutely. Whatever works. Listen, don't take my every word. This is all based on my experience, people, and the experience of hundreds and hundreds of coaching clients over the years. But if you have something that works for you, hey, everybody's different. I mean, Godspeed. If it keeps you in line, keeps you motivated, go for it. And, you talk about, needing more than one thing. The second mistake that I see people making, and again, guys, I'm not here, believe me, he who's without sin, right? I've done these all. That's why it was so easy to come up with this presentation. I could teach this stuff in my sleep because I lived it. And this is, this is the stuff that's going to get you across the finish line. whether you own a card store, whether you bake eco-friendly dog biscuits, or whether you're a hardcore internet marketer. It's all the same. Real estate investors. I mean, how many of us are real estate investors? Same thing. But it's developing a focus. So the mistake number 2 is developing a focus. People don't develop a focus fast enough. You do one thing and you do it well. I remember when I got started, so I fell in love with the entrepreneurial world overnight. And I was buying all these business opportunity magazines. Oh, well, look what I can do here. I can sell excess inventory from places like Walmart and Kmart and blah, blah, blah. And look over here, I can do some import-export stuff. And look over here, I can sell this. And oh my God, this biweekly mortgage program looks great. If I could just make a little bit of money from each of them, blah, 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 blah. Well, you know what I did? I wound up going bankrupt by trying to make money because I spent so much money on courses, so much money on different things, shiny objects. None of it worked. It's far better to try one thing, give it your all. You do one thing and you do it well. And I'll tell you what, slow and steady wins the race. See, the thing is, people will go to college for 2 years, 4 years, even get an extra degree, master's or whatever. And they'll spend 2 years for an associate's, 4 years, your normal college degree. And then, doctors and people like that, lawyers, it goes 6, 8, 10 years. And they'll just keep at it and stay consistent. All of a sudden, that same person will get on the internet. They don't make money or build a list in 2 weeks. And they're like, screw it, this doesn't work. And I'm like, hello, people. Slow and steady wins the race. If you're willing to spend 2 years on an associate's degree, you should be willing to spend 2 years on yourself, because there's nobody that's going to take better care of you than you are. And time is your number one asset. You could spend 2 years learning this stuff and make all your money back 6 months after that, once you've perfected your game.
So what would you suggest to help someone who really has that shiny object syndrome to narrow down? Like, what strategy could they use? And I have some that I personally have used to narrow down their focus so that they're choosing something that works best for them.
Well, one of the other points that I'm going to make later on, Hannah, will cover that. But you know what you do? Take your credit cards and put them in the freezer. Take your credit cards, put them in a glass of water, and put the glass of water in the freezer. And then you have to throw your cards out anytime you think you want to buy something.
Is that the low-tech way of freezing your credit?
That is, yes. I'm glad you guys caught the double entendre there. Yes. But no, seriously, dude. Put a rubber band around them, throw them in a glass, put them in the freezer. They're going to thaw out and they're still going to work. But by the time you thaw a thing out, you're going to be over the thing that you wanted to buy. There's nothing you need that bad that you have to buy it on the spot without considering the pros and cons. What is this tool going to do now? What is this product or machine or what's going to do now? Because God knows there's a lot of good copywriters out there. I'm looking to buy stuff all the time. I don't buy hardly anything anymore. Now I'm really interested in AI and all that comes with it. But man, there's people, even my peers, I know what they're selling. And I'm like, boy, that copy's so good. Maybe there's something in there. I'm not saying don't ever branch out, and educating yourself in your marketplace is absolutely paramount. But do one thing and do it well. Could you imagine trying to do network marketing, mail order, inventory liquidation, biweekly mortgage, import, export, all at the same time? How is anybody going to be good at that? Nobody. I've never seen anybody be good at that.
Yeah, you'll be average at it for 10 years. And then maybe if you stick with all of those things, be good at them all in 5 years, but at what cost?
Yeah, at the cost of 5 years of income.
Yeah.
It's the exponential version of what happens when you try to multitask is, instead of doing 20 things well, you do 15 things very, very badly, and then you don't accomplish any of the things that you wanted to do that day. But it's
yeah, absolutely.
And
you
part
know,
of what we teach at Conversion Chemistry is the tools that are out there, amidst all the noise, of which ones actually work and which ones are even free to start with, that you can, create your system and focus with, the low barriers to entry.
I'll tell you, I wish I had something like this when I got started, because it would have saved me thousands and thousands of dollars. And you can always make the money back, but what you can't get back is your time. You guys have to remember, time is your number one asset. So be willing to spend money to save time, be willing to spend money to accelerate your growth curve and all that. Treat time, it's more precious than money, because we only have so many years on this earth. And if you're frittering away your time, well, show me someone that can go to the store and buy more time for themselves. It's impossible. It doesn't happen. You can always make more money. And again, that doesn't mean be reckless and feckless and careless, but focus on doing one thing, slow and steady. And again, time is your number one asset. You're going to learn this stuff faster than you think. And one of the ways you can do that is our next mistake most people make: a failure to hire help. You're only one person, right? So from the beginning, I want you to have this mindset and mentality that you are in the market for subcontractors, outsourcers, virtual assistants, anybody that can help you get to where you need to go faster. You're only one person. You only have one day today, and tomorrow's not even promised to anybody, right?
And
See what?
so the thing about the one man show or one woman show
Yes.
is, people use it like a flex, like they're proud of it. And that's fine internally if you're proud of being able to do all this yourself, but it's not the value to your clients or customers that you think it is. When clients and customers hear one man or one woman show, they think, well, what happens if you're sick or you're away or you're busy? So even from a positioning and appearances standpoint, having, even if it's just a couple VAs, call them your staff, and that you have a system, infrastructure, and the personnel to support your service or product.
I actually that to be an earmark of a bad employer or a bad business person. And I think that, it doesn't mean that they're bad at everything, but it means that they haven't invested the time in other people to learn how to delegate to them and teach them the skills they need to do those really important parts of the job that have to get done. And that's actually the main value of the business doctor, because what I can do is learn different parts of a business and then create a training manual so that people can teach others. And I think that a lot of business owners don't take the time to understand that, yes, your daily is crazy and, you have all these deliverables and you have to get things done, but you cannot grow if you are the only person who's doing things. And you're not going to be as successful as you would be if you could focus in on the process of each task and then make sure that those get done by other people.
No, it's very true. And I'll tell you, in the beginning, I was doing all my HTML, and I remember when Flash came out, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, Flash! This is the greatest thing! These Flash graphics and all." And then I went out and bought the program, and spent $150 on the program back then. Now you have this learning curve. I got into it for a few days. I'm like, "What am I doing? This isn't me." It's the same thing. I'm a good marketer. I'm good at talking to people. I'm good at caring about people. I'm good at putting deals together and finding opportunity where maybe other people don't. I am bad at accounting. I am bad at technical stuff most of the time. Now, can I do my own accounting? Yes, of course. I'm a big boy. I'm 59. Can I solve my own technical problems? Absolutely, given enough time. But I'm old enough now to know that I'm good at what I'm good at, and I'm bad at what I'm bad at, and never the two shall meet. And again, reminding you guys and gals, time is a precious commodity. If you fart around and you waste a week on something you shouldn't have, you're never getting that week back. If you spend $50, $100, $25, $5,000, whatever, to subcontract, delegate, or outsource, you have purchased more time. You have accelerated your growth curve. Surely you can see the sense in that, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. And, I feel like you should have a base level understanding of all of those things to be able to make the correct hiring and outsourcing decisions.
Right.
Otherwise, you can, make the same mistakes by putting the wrong people in that position. So yeah, you say you're bad at accounting. You probably wouldn't be if you spent the time on it, but it's not A, where your passion is, B, your moneymaker. So, you know, someone like me, I'm perpetually curious about everything. Not that accounting is a hugely sexy subject, but I do know enough to do my own books. But then I reached a stage where it became, more valuable to outsource that. Even, A, it's a business expense, and B, I'm like, wow, really? You can do all that in that little of time, and I don't have to worry about these line items, and I can go out and make some more money? Okay, fine.
Exactly. Exactly. And the way to do that is by being aware of another mistake that most people make, and that's kind of, not mastering the basic skills quickly. Basic skills that all of us have to have if we're going to do anything online.
And unlike
Okay.
accounting and conversion chemistry, we teach all of these things.
That is true. Yes, we do. One of the basics is learn how to write copy. I'm not telling you have to be the greatest copywriter in the world, but you have to be able to write things in a you get benefit now kind of a format. So features and benefits, if you don't know the difference between those, you got to figure that out quick. All it is writing as if you're talking. I tell people, all right, you don't know how to write copy? Get yourself Dragon Naturally Speaking. We're just going to talk your sales letter through. I know a friend, Randy Chirac, who wrote an entire ebook. God, that's got to be 15, 20 years ago, just by using Dragon Naturally Speaking, went on to sell a ton of them. So he wasn't the greatest copywriter. He wanted to get it moving. So he talked it out and wrote his copy that way. And copywriting is kind of fun, man. It's amazing. You put a string of words together and money shows up. Are you kidding me? How cool is that, right? Now, another thing I want to tell everybody here, you can have all the traffic in the world. You can have 1 million people a day going to your website. But if your copy is bad, hey, guess what? It's all for nothing. Okay? Because it's that conversion. There's that word again, Jonesy.
Hey, that's the name of the
Conversion.
show.
Boom, boom, right? You can have all the traffic in the world, but if your copy is poor and that traffic doesn't convert, you don't make money, the kids don't eat, and we lose the farm. One of the other things you need to think about in the beginning, who are you and why should people care? What does your branding look like? I mean, for me, it was, I had two choices. I could have been the bankrupt tractor trailer from New Jersey who went broke and then wound up making six figures a year in income online. Or I could have also said, hey, you know what? I went back to college in my early 30s after working for 10 years in the field, decided to better my life, got my logistics management degree, graduated head of my class. My department head was one of the big guys in the Council of Logistics Managers, wanted to fly me down to Florida. I was going to interview with Northwest Airlines, General Motors, the railroad, whatever. Boom. I could have gone either way. But you know what? I think a lot more people, well, I know a lot more people back then could relate to a bankrupt tractor trailer driver from New Jersey, an everyman, the guy next door, rather than me saying, oh, yes, well, I got my degree, my logistics management degree, graduated ahead of my class. They wanted to fly me to Florida and shop me around, blah, blah, blah. Both of those are good brands, but instinctively, I knew which one worked for me and which one that I could be. Okay. Another thing, social media. Now, social media, and Jonesy, you might want to chime in here. It's not a magic bullet, but it's pretty darn close, right? So a basic understanding of social media. And what does that mean? Do you have to be on LinkedIn, TikTok, Facebook, Snapchat, all of them, or just one or two? That's where Jonesy and I will fill you in. But I mean, don't you agree? I mean, it isn't a magic bullet, but boy, does it come close.
You know what my point of view on social media is, and I'll reiterate at every episode we go on. It's, I don't love it, but it makes me money. So therefore I love it. So when it comes to that, you nailed it right on the head, is start with one or two platforms. That's it, that you do yourself. Automate what you can. you can always automate a post from, well, first of all, Facebook and Instagram, you can link. You can automate a post from Facebook to LinkedIn. It's not optimal, but it's better than nothing. And the third thing is you can outsource. Go back to your other point is don't be that one person show. Learn how to do it yourself, create an SOP, a standard operating procedure, and hire a VA for under $100 a month to take care of your social media.
It's not a lot of money. And Hannah, do you have anything to say to that?
Well, one, I was going to ask Jonesy if you would be comfortable putting that SOP that you've created for your social media VAs.
Well, I'm so glad you brought that up, Hannah, because as everybody, or if you don't know, you know now, membership in conversion chemistry means you get new content every month, and that is on my list of SOPs and documents and templates to release. You bringing it up means accountability. I'm going to bump that to the top of the list, so that way it drops within the next week or so.
Awesome. Nicely played, Hannah. Thank you.
Welcome. See, I knew he would be prepared. And the other thing that I wanted to actually kind of use myself as almost like a test case. So my branding is pretty much my personal branding. The people who I'm working with right now, or the companies that I'm working with right now, are people who have interacted with me enough in business and in other parts of my life that require me to be organized and on top of things, that they've seen what I can do and they're impressed by it. So is there a way that you would suggest to build on that personal branding that just kind of comes about organically for people?
Jonesy, I'll leave that to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, it can get pretty complex, but if we take it down to the basics, it's who you are, what are you delivering, what's your story, the personality that drives it. So in your case, I guess you're bringing up the fact that you kind of like lack a logo and a tagline and stuff right now because your product, the way you created a demand for your services and business before you even had a business, which is interesting because that it ties back into the whole idea of a business plan. And you had people knocking on your door to hire you as basically a freelancer, thus speed running you into a business. So because even though you are a master of a few specific process implementations, internal business operations, we need to boil that down into one tagline for what the business doctor is.
Absolutely. And I think it really comes down to the word process. Because for a small business, what I do is figure out which processes they don't have. So it's process and implementation. And that doesn't matter if it's in the very beginning, the sales, customer acquisition side, or if it's in the very end. How do I touch up with the customers that I've already worked with, or in the middle, the actual service or product that's being provided? It all comes down to, is what you're doing, the way that you're doing it, the most sensible and profitable way for you to do that? And yeah, I guess I should use Generico as the example, but I don't know what Generico does, so I can't really do that as a test.
We don't
know either.
Yeah, we make stuff.
Generico.
So, Generico, we just are and we just do.
That's it.
So
more to come on that.
And then we have the whole aesthetic aspect of branding, especially personal branding, when you are the representative of your business as the business doctor. Your business is the business doctor, but you are the business doctor. We get into styling, brand kits, fonts, logos, color palettes. All of that is, meant to show, your flavor, what style you bring, the type of clients that you want to attract and work with.
I think you guys, so I love the branding colors that you already chose for my site. It's mostly a lot of orange, and I like kind of orange, white, and green for that, but that's neither here nor there. I think that the energy behind it is on the website is like a really good driving concept. Like, hey, this person is going to be determined and passionate about your business. And I think it very much looks like that already. And I think you guys answered my question when you said we need to be able to take, or I need to be able to take everything that the business doctor does and whittle it down to one sentence.
Exactly. And none of this is that hard. Like the branding you can figure out, the social media you can figure out. The other thing to talk about, the basics is traffic. Now, Jonesy is a lean, mean traffic machine, and he's going to be covering a lot of that stuff. But basically, you need to know what a Facebook ad does. I'm not going to say a ton on Google AdWords, but Facebook ads and things like that. It's not that hard. You spend a few bucks, you pick up on a tutorial, learn the basics. That's something else that you can outsource quickly. And speaking of quickly, capture every email that comes your way, people, from day one, please. Failure to capture emails. That was one of my biggest things in the beginning. Of course, that was just when Weber, which is our brand of choice, and we love you guys for an autoresponder and follow-up system. What was just starting up then, so I didn't know what to do with it or how to build a list. So you want to build a list you want to give people a reason to give you their email. Now, we're going to talk about that. We're going to give you some examples. And as a matter of fact, this presentation itself is a giveaway with enough value that people will subscribe to it just to hear more about what we have to say about other topics.
Just say it. Just say it's a lead magnet. Our audience can be told that it's a lead magnet, even if they know that they're downloading it and we're getting their emails, because we want them to know this. Using the term lead magnet's kind of like one of those faux pas. You don't use that term when you're talking about sale, marketing and conversions and list building. But since our audience is marketers and entrepreneurs, we want to be transparent, and we want them to know that term, lead magnet.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And one of the things that still drives me crazy since 2005 is the need to have people double opt in. We can do a whole episode with single opt in and double opt in. You have to get them to double opt in. Basically, what that means is somebody will subscribe and enter their information. It'll show up in your system, and then the system has to send them a second email that says, you're really sure you want to subscribe? It's the dumbest thing going, but it works, and you have to do it to be in compliance. So, and we'll talk about that some more. You want to use your list to personalize yourself, build relationships, and let people know that you're a human being. I tell people you do 2-1-1-2 kind of a thing. So say you publish 3 issues of your newsletter, right? 2 of them, you'll tell a story. Hey, my kids are getting older. My oldest is 38. My youngest now is going to turn 8 soon, etc. You want to personalize yourself and build relationships in 1 or 2 newsletters. And then that third one, it almost essentially earns you the right, or your audience gives you tacit permission to market to them, because everybody's here to make money. If you're offering something that's worthwhile, sure, you're getting compensated, but your audience is benefiting from it as well. Just with, even Weber, let's say somebody buys Weber through our affiliate link. Well, yeah, we get paid, and that's great, and it's monthly, and that's great. But now they just automated their lists and grew their business in a way that they never could before. All I'm saying is make sure that you love on your audience, and that gives you a bit more leeway to market them. Don't pound the hell out of them 8 days a week with buy this now, because you're going to burn that list as quick as if you took a lit match to it. You want to build relationships. People buy from people. They don't buy from machines. And we're going to talk about AI later on. The other thing, mail to your list regularly. If you're going to publish every Tuesday, publish every Tuesday. Build consistency. It's okay to have a special edition, or this just in. Oh my God, this new thing on the internet. It can't wait till Tuesday. But be consistent and regular so that your people expect and start to look for you in your inbox. Okay? Now, hopefully all this is making sense so far.
Yeah, absolutely. Frank, I have a question for you.
Sure.
How many businesses, or how many newsletters do you look forward to every week? from
I'd
other people?
say I'd say three or four. And these are peers and colleagues and friends, but anything that Marlon Sanders puts out, I read. Um, Anything that Martin Avis puts out, I read. Um, Martin Wales. These are just friends. Now they've become friends over the years. I met them through business, but these are the other guys that I know, like, and trust, and I know that anything they promote is worth buying. Matter of fact, past few months I bought two things alone from Martin Avis over in England. But there's a lot of newsletters. Man, my inbox is, if I showed you my inbox, it ain't purdy. There's a lot of stuff in there that I should get to, could get to, and would get to, but they're just not as happy and perky as interesting. Like, I want to know what Marlon's up to because he's a good dude. Craig Perine's another good guy. Bill Hibbler. These are the people that I respect and I've learned from, even though we're peers, colleagues, and equals. It's because each one of them has a bit of personality. You get to know the person. You get to almost root for the person. And I'm going to tell you how powerful this can be, Hannah. Years ago, I had more than one person call me and say, "Hey, Frank, are you an affiliate for Program X? Are you going to be, promoting Program X?" And I would say, "Well, maybe. I haven't had a look at it yet. Really, it's on my list." And they say, "Well, go take a look at it and let me know what you think, because if you like it, if you say it's okay, I want to order through your affiliate link so that you get the money, because I trust you. And I know that if you recommend it, it must be good." Now, how crazy is that? Somebody calls me up and says, "Hey, Frank, I want you to make some money on something I want to buy. And the only way I'm going to buy it is if you think it's okay." That's when you know you've got a good audience and you've earned your audience's trust. And I don't say that to brag. Listen, guys, believe me, if you met me, it's I guess kind of exciting in a bizarre way, right? Right, Jonesy and Hannah. I mean, hey, who's this guy Frank Garon? But it's no big deal. My neighbors, they say, "What do you do?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, I work on the internet." I'm like, "Oh, nice, nice, nice." They don't know that I've, had a quarter of a million subscribers at one point. Did live events in the UK from 30 people, almost 1,000. But my audience did, and they were the ones who mattered.
I think you hit the nail on the head for something that exists in all of our personal lives, but we don't always bring into our business lives, which is that there are people that we believe in their personal stamp of approval. And so, for instance, if I meet someone in the hockey world and I don't know a lot about them, there are a handful of people, including Jonesy, that I will go to and say, "What do you think about this guy?" before I'll even let them consider being on my team or even coming to one of my skates. Because if you're not the kind of person that I want to bring around my family, I won't bring you around my hockey team. And I do that with restaurants and events and hotels or anything in my life. I go to these people that I trust their judgment. And it sounds like you were able to take that personal trust that we get in our friendships and our families and in our home communities and bring that into the online world, which to me sounds really difficult. But because you put that part of your life, your real self, into your listings, you made sure that people understood, one, I'm a person that gets things done, and two, I'm a person that only works with products that work.
Yeah, and it really wasn't that hard because I didn't know any better. Like, of course I'm only going to recommend stuff that I use. I mean, duh, it's kind of just common sense. But boy, some people will promote the latest, greatest anything just to make a check, and that's kind of a shame. But that's besides the point. And one of the things I also want to talk about here is making failure to make money fast, because I'm going to tell you something. You need to get the first sale. It's going to be the hardest sale. Maybe it'll fall into your lap, or it might almost kill you, but you need to get the first sale. You need to get it early. You need to get it fast. You need to get it at all costs. And you know why? Because a fast first sale sets a strong precedent. It shows you, just like that business plan, and the accountability that we mentioned as the first mistake, it shows you that you're a business. A real business makes money, whether it's 50 cents or $5 million on that first sale. I don't care. I hope it's the 5 million, whatever, but you need to make money quickly, because if you can do it once, you can do it twice. If you can do it twice, you can do it 5 times. You can do it 5, you can do it 10, but it all starts with that first sale. And so many people faff about their first year or two getting ready, perpetually getting ready. Always, I'm just about to get started. Oh, I got to hook this one more autoresponder up and then I'm ready. No, you want to get your minimal viable product up and running, and you want to get the cashish as quick as you can, because most importantly, it's going to immunize you from these dream stealers in your life, whether it's the media, who, you know, doesn't always celebrate entrepreneurialism. The school system sure as hell doesn't. They don't teach you hardly to be entrepreneurs, not in grade school, junior high. Maybe in high school they start a little bit, but, you know, family, friends, oh, you're making money on the internet? Oh, that's a scam, or this and that and the other thing. You know, it was interesting. I had somebody that I care about. I met him first time in years, right around Christmas this year. And they said, oh, that real estate stuff you're doing, is that a scam? And I was incredulous, because A, they knew me for 20 years, and B, I'm like, well, I don't know. We made whatever we made this year. We didn't do
How
that.
the hell do you answer that when someone
Actually, I didn't. I said
asked you,
no.
is it a scam? Like, well, I don't know,
Why would you ask me that?
How much do you have to invest?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why would you ask
Yeah.
somebody
And
that you?
how much do you have to invest, and do you expect to get it back? That'll craft my answer for you.
Oh my God. Yeah, that was kind of weird. I mean, they meant well, and I know them, and we're still cool, but I was like, and an interesting thing, I just find that to be like, oh yeah, it's a scam, and I'm robbing banks in my spare time. Of course it's a scam. Duh. Jokes on everybody else. No, it's not a scam. I've been busting my ass in this business for 26 and 27 years. And in the beginning, I worked, yes, 6 and 7 days a week to make it in this business. Thank you very much. It's a lot easier now. But then when 4 years ago, I decided I really wanted to get better at investing in real estate, well, guess what? I had to almost start from scratch. I didn't know what to do or how to do.
So doesn't that go back to point number one about being good at something, one thing first? You're obviously an expert at internet marketing, so
you are so sweet,
can
Jonesy.
put that on autopilot, and then, you know, at that point, once it's profitable, you can diversify and learn something else for another stream of income, but not, 10 more things.
No.
Follow that formula.
Nope. And
Because I'm a firm believer in the multiple streams of income from different verticals. I'm doing it myself. I'm now a real estate investor with my first rental property. But it was only after I, had a successful web marketing business, internet marketing business, and consultation company. I didn't, say, okay, well, I got a couple clients. Now it's time to do real estate. No, I made a successful business, and then I said, okay, well, yeah, I'm always learning still in marketing, but I want to learn something else and then make money off of it.
right, exactly. And and again, I don't think people, and this person in particular, I mean, I'm not picking on them or anything. I love them, but like in my mind, I was like, how sad is that person thinks that buying low and selling medium, or high, which is the principle of every business in the world, just about, right? Even healthcare. The idea is the insurance or your co-pays or what you pay has to be higher than what it costs the hospital to have the doctor service you. Otherwise, those numbers don't work. Duh. So I just, yeah, I don't get it sometimes. And it's weird because I can remember when I was driving tractor trailer, my 94 to 96, I drove tractor trailer 2 to 3 days a week. And the other 2 or 3 days a week, I worked on my business. So I'd drive a day or two, come home, drive a day or two, come home, work on the business. And I can remember telling these guys what I was doing at the time. And at the time, it was network marketing, which, like any other business, has its good and its bad. It's certainly a very legitimate business. I love it to this day. I have a lot of friends still in network marketing. But you know what? I had just started making money in network marketing, and I'm showing people at my job, hey, man, I just made an extra $50 this week. Oh, all that stuff's a scam. Da, da, da. So you know what? 6 months later, I was full-time working from home on the internet, and I'm going down Route 287 in New Jersey, looking at the same guy stuck in the 5 and 6 o'clock traffic as I used to work with. And that could have been me. Still could have been me. It was at one time. I didn't get home. I'd start 7, 8, and 9 in the morning, not get home till 7, 8, 9, 10 at night. And that was all in one day. You can't do that the rest of your life. That's no way to make a living, right? But I made it because I immunized myself early on from these dream stealers. And that segues nicely into nurturing. And we only have a few more of these to go, guys. We're finishing up here soon. Nurturing your intuition. You already know what you need to know. You know enough I tell people, you know enough to come in out of the rain. And when you're in the US and you're stepping off a curb, you know to look to the right and then the left and make sure you're not going to get ran over by a car. Now, if you're in the UK, it's a little trickier. You got to look opposite direction first. They drive on the opposite side of the road, or they might say that we drive on the opposite side of the road. You already know to come in out of the rain. You don't go flying a kite in a thunderstorm. You see a wild boar with its tusks flaring and it's snorting and growling at you running down the street. You don't go, oh, nice kitty, bougie, bougie, bougie. You run for your freaking life. So you already know what you need to know to make it in business. You rely on your common sense, number one. Number two is you learn how to hustle. And no, I'm not talking about Saturday Night Fever, one of the greatest movies and soundtracks of all time, by the way. But you learn how to hustle, okay? Hustle means you see opportunity, okay? When you're at a traffic light and the road's backed up and you go, you know what? I can go 2 blocks this way, make a left, and I'll come back out half a mile up and I'll get around all this. That's hustle. You don't sit there in line with all the other zombies going, I hope the traffic lets up. If you can do something like that, you can make it in business. And you have to develop your money goggles. In other words, seeing opportunity in everything. The way I did it, I get so passionate about this stuff, guys, my throat. The way I see it is this: money goggles. You have to wear them. You have to develop them. And that means you see opportunity where other people don't. And I think that alone would be a great episode for all three of us, guys, because money goggles, finding opportunity where other people don't see anything. Okay. I don't want to get into it here because I really think that's something that we can teach people and encourage them to develop and move forward with quickly.
Well, Frank, the reality is any one of these pillars, these 9 mistakes, we can do an entire episode and go down the rabbit hole with the do's and don'ts, with the mistakes that we've both experienced, mistakes that our clients have gone through, and, make a massive aggregate of case studies about each one. So, we're going to keep this conversion chemistry going, hopefully till we all die way, way, way into the future. So there's unlimited content just based on that right there. We absolutely should take each one of these pillars and do a deep dive on them.
Well, they're so basic and yet they're so complex because people have so many hangups about them and people overlook them. And it's the small stuff that'll get you killed. You know what I mean? It's the small stuff that matters. It's not this gigantic, you're going to have the Goodyear blimp with your company name on the side and all that. That's nice and that's great dreaming. But you know what? If you didn't sit there and write a business plan, ain't no blimp flying by with your name on it either. So that's what I mean by that. And thank you for that, Jonesy. And one of the interesting things is going back, nurturing your intuition. Who can you partner with and why? Joint ventures. We're going to talk about that. That'd be great to get Sterling in there too for that one. Sterling Valentine, Ken MacArthur. These are kings of joint ventures. And what a joint venture is, hey, I've got apples, you've got oranges. Let's sell them together. My people want this, your people want that. Let's offer them both or some kind of a package together. Everybody wins, everybody makes money. We're almost there, guys. One thing I'm going to tell you, you have to stop being a hermit. This is another mistake. People say, oh, it's the internet. I like working from home. I'm insulated. I don't have to go to work anymore. In the beginning, that's great when you go full time, but you know what happens? Your brain stops growing and it starts shrinking because it's all about relationships. You need to get out there and give to get, okay? You need to learn how to listen with big ears, meaning you say half as much or you listen twice as much as you talk. That's probably a better way of doing that. You're a king at that, a champ at that, Jonesy, you know.
I speak laconically. End of sentence.
Yeah, there we go. And meanwhile, you're listening and everybody thinks you're great because you're the one with the big ears and you hear other people's problems and you're able to identify their solutions. And eventually some of them come to you. And you have to give to get. Man, you can't be pushy like, excuse me, I need to know this. And what can you tell me about that? And I need this. And wait a second, back up. And you have to bring something to the table, even if it's napkins or trash bags, or you have to bring something to the party, man, even if it's small, because everything matters. You don't have to be big from day one, but I'm going to tell you something. Networking equals money. There's a reason why I get up an hour early, get into my pickup truck, and drive, 70 something miles over to Ken MacArthur's.
You go to Ken one day, that's KENONEDAY.com, so that you can sign up for one Tuesday a month to talk to Ken.
Yeah, that's exactly what I do, Hannah. Every fourth Tuesday, and I want to emphasize Tuesday, I get up an hour early. I drive 70 something miles through rush hour traffic on the highway.
It is not a fun drive.
No, it isn't. Paying an inordinate amount of toll money, because God knows the PA Turnpike charges you like $4 a mile, but that's besides the point. Then I spend a day in a conference room, barely see daylight except at lunch, and then I drive home half the year in the dark through rush hour traffic. And you know what? It's worth every freaking minute of it, because good things happen when you network and when you mastermind at things like KenOneDay.com. That's KENONEDAY.com.
Why, I believe that's also where conversion chemistry was created.
That's right. As I met you, let me tell you what, this is a perfect case study, and we won't get into it too long. I sat there in that meeting for a few months. You get to know everybody. And of course, there's always new people, and we encourage you to come. But I see Jonesy showing up every month. He's contributing. He seems like a nice guy. He's talking, and he's just a gentleman. He's a nice guy, and he knows stuff. And I said, I got to talk some more to this guy. So we talked back and forth. A couple months later, I'm like, hey, Jonesy, what do you think about working together? And that's how conversion chemistry was born, this entire empire. And this podcast is being recorded sort of at the beginning of that empire. So we have plans to make this bigger than big, but for right now, it's moving along quite nicely. And it all started at one of these events. I can't tell you how many people I met, good people. And again, I'll say the same names. I met Craig Perrine at a big seminar event back in probably 2002. Bill Hibbler, same thing. Kurt Christensen, who I do some stuff in real estate with. Met him, my real estate partner, Matthew Moody. Met him at one of my events. If you sit home and you think the internet is all about only the internet, wrong answer. Joint ventures and networking, baby. That's where the money's at. So you need to stop being a hermit, and you want to get out there already. Now, I said we were wrapping up. Jonesy, there's one thing that I want to put in there, and I want your opinion on this, and you too, Hannah. and I would be remiss if I didn't cover it. And that is the failure to understand AI. And then we've got one more after this, we'll wrap up real quick. But this whole failure to understand AI, and to me, failure means two things. Failure to understand AI means being afraid of it, and then failure to understand AI, meaning that you think AI is going to do all your work for you, and all you have to do is feed it two sentences, and out's going to come war and peace. Okay. So, you can fear AI or you can embrace it. The choice is yours. Personally, I fear it a little bit because between you and me, I watched all the Terminator movies and it did not end well for humanity. On the one hand, on the other hand, it's helping me now, boy. These newsletters are coming out easier and easier because I get inspired. Actually, I get inspired from myself, Jonesy, with Frank Bot.
FrankBot GPT.
Yeah, Chat GPT. Never mind that. I've got Frank Bot GPT. Pretty awesome. And thank you for that, Jonesy, by the way. But my point is, you have to understand what AI can do for your business and what it can't do. Right now, it's like the gold rush of AI, the Wild West. Oh my God, you don't do AI, you don't have AI, you're losing money in AI. All right, understand what it can do and what it can't do. And don't let the AI, the artificial intelligence you, hide the real human being you in all your messages and mailings. So Jonesy, what do you have to say about that?
Don't get me started on AI, because that's going to be an entire series and a series of webinar and courses. Because you know how passionate I am about its usefulness, it being an incredible tool, and when used improperly, extremely detrimental. So I'm going to boil it down to this, is that AI should be an extension of yourself and your team and your brand when used properly. And unless you're taking the steps to use it properly, it has the potential to diminish, disparage, and devalue your brand incredibly. And we at Conversion Chemistry have courses, we've got workbooks, we've got the infinite prompt system that shows you how to use it all properly.
And I guess the biggest thing is, the biggest boost anyway, is for people that don't like to write. A little bit of work that can train any of these AI things to kind of mimic or get to the real them. Like, in other words, if you're nervous about writing, something like Chat GPT or Goody, we like Goody on this show. These things can put out words and thoughts and expressions in a way that you might not feel so comfortable with. But what you can't do is let it write you like a generic term paper that's got no feeling, because people can tell that right away. So that's what we mean by that. Hannah, do you have any opinions about AI either way?
So I like what you said about not letting AI kind of take over your voice, and also what you said about inspiring yourself. So when I started writing the first newsletter that I wrote for Conversion Chemistry, I kind of went, well, what am I good at? Like, I blanked out and forgot that, I know how to do things, right? And as soon as I chose a subject that I was passionate about and I know a lot about, it kind of came out very quickly and easily and naturally. And then I went back and tried to use Chat GPT to shorten some of the sentences and some of the paragraphs into sentences so that it wasn't so wordy that people wouldn't want to read it. And initially, it really changed my voice. So don't give up if the first iteration that you're using or that you get out of, whatever AI it is that you're using isn't perfect, because you can reprompt it to make it more like the original, or to make it more like your voice, or like you and Jonesy have your own chatbots that mimic your voice anyway. But keep at it, because it's not going to be perfect the first, second, or third time. You just have to continue to tweak it until you figure out what works for you.
Absolutely, beautifully said. Even phase one of using AI in the writing capacity, like you mentioned with your newsletter, is just dump a stream of consciousness into it. And that could bridge the gap between content and non-content. All right. What am I, you type in, some value about yourself. What am I good at? And the robot spits out, Hannah, you are good at networking. And you're like, oh yeah, I am. Let me write a whole article about it. Done. let me write the article about it, meaning you, like writing it yourself, not, passing that part off to an automated tool like GPT.
Yeah, there are a lot of different parts of the process that you can incorporate AI into, and it doesn't just have to be writing out all the things that you want. Like you said, you can give it a prompt, say like, hey, here are things that I've done. One of these is going to be interesting to my market.
Damn it. I got to stop talking about it because I'm going to keep going. When you put the quarter in with me, you got to let the whole song play out. So I'm going to mute myself about it.
I think for now we can wrap this up with one big one that kind of ties into some of the other ones of networking, attending live events, etc. And that's paying for advice. Man, if I knew then what I know now, I would have sold a kidney, sold my truck, walked to work, whatever I had to do to pay for coaching and guidance and training. Because I'm gonna tell you what, having a coach makes you money. They tell you, don't touch the hot stove, you get burnt. Push this button, send your email like that, reformat it so it reads better. Oh, you need traffic? No problem. Here's 3 things we can do for you today. This saves you so much money. And equally as important, guys, I'm a freak about saving time. I'm going to be 59, well, 60 in December. So not to sound like an old fart or anything, but man, when you're from birth to 21 is about 50 years, right? And then from 21 to 40, maybe that's 30 years or so. But then when you hit 50 to 60 is like 4 years. I can tell you, we just had my 50th surprise anniversary at my son-in-law's family farm. I remember it like it was last month. And now I'm going to be 60. You need to get this stuff done so you can go live the life you want to live and be happy. Wasting time is the most expensive mistake of all. Now, I'm not just saying hire everybody that says, oh, I'm a coach, I'm an expert, I'm a whatever. You got to do your homework. We can talk about that. But paying for advice, buying a course, buying a manual, buying a video training, attending a one-day live event, or in Ken's case, coming up in April, a 3-day live event. Do we have the URL for that, guys?
CreateImpactNow.com.
I'm sorry, talking to the good ear. What was that, sir?
CreateImpactNow.com.
Right. So coming to something like that in Philadelphia for 3 days can change your life. Okay. Do you spend money on hotel if you're from out of town? Yeah. Do you have to pay to get there? Yeah. What can you learn and what you will learn from something like that? What, 5-fold, 10-fold, 20-fold? Just the stuff of going, the gas and the tolls to go to Ken's Tuesday mastermind is going to wind up making me millions of dollars over the years. I remember Mike Littman. God love Mike Littman. And if you don't know Mike, you should. Mike, Litman. He said to me one sentence. I was giving something away to almost all the people that called me. He said, why don't you charge for that? And I was like, duh. He said, yeah, charge for it. Here's what you do. Okay. I've made hundreds of thousands, if not at least $1 million from one idea he gave me. So how much would that have been worth? Just from somebody giving you one bit of advice. And there's a lot of pseudo coaches and would-be consultants and blah, blah, blah. And I'm not bad-mouthing anybody. You got to get a feel for this. And that's where your intuition, your common sense, and also JVs and networking come out, because my real estate business, Kurt Christensen and I talk every week or two. We're like, hey, what are you doing? Who are you listening to? How's it going? Who are you following? And because we trust each other, we can trust each other's recommendations. Therefore, the products and services that we each recommend to each other come pre-sold. I can start with a mentor, somebody like Callan Faulkner or whoever, or Seth Williams or Chris Thomas. These are names in this particular part of the real estate world that I live in, because my friends recommended them. So again, you want to save money, you pay for your coaching, you pay for the stuff that makes sense, and you do it as you grow. But that's, if you want to get further faster, I'm going to tell you guys, don't be afraid to pay for advice. All the software in the world won't do you any good unless you have the right person teaching you how to use it to maximum effect. So we actually went with 10 mistakes. Thank you guys for letting me add failure to understand AI. I only said it was going to be 9. I am emotionally drained. I'm going to need a quiet room now to lie down in, because I've given you my all. And Jonesy and Hannah, you two have been great here. Do either one of you have anything to say before we ride off into the proverbial sunset here?
No, just that. Well, yes, actually. So I think that it's really important, as you said, to identify the time that you're going to spend. And a big part of that is the time that you're going to spend learning. And I think that conversion chemistry is a great example of a place that someone can go to learn these things that they need to know before they make those mistakes.
I'm going to pull a line from.
And what were we going to say, Matt, who for president?
Peters for president.
This episode was brought to you by Tropic Shade Co. TropicShadeCo.com, where every day is summer.
I love it.